Hi, my name is Alahnnaa Campbell, and my company is You Have a Life Plan, and it has a subdivision called Support Their Light, which is a service to parents with sensitive kids. And this presentation is just to talk to parents out there to remind all of us that we need to cut ourselves some slack because we are not all created equal. And instead of comparing ourselves to other parents and saying, they're doing it this way and I do it this way, and, they're better than me or I'm better than them or whatever, and basically making us all feel bad about ourselves as parents, this is about looking at how unique we actually are and how perfect our strengths are for what we came here to do and what our children need from us. So just a bit of background on myself. I'm a sole contract and human design specialist. I have a master's in psychology, and I'm a mother of an intense 5-year-old boy and a sensitive 2-year-old girl. So the modalities I use are soul contract and human design. So soul contract is actually your plan that you made for this life. It's your personal law of attraction. You are drawing to you specific challenges that you had asked to try to overcome in this lifetime so you can teach others how to overcome these types of challenges. You also have specific talents that you can really fine tune in this lifetime and become really good at, and certain goals that would make you really happy if you started to strive for them. And then there's an overall theme that was intended for your life, and you can find this out by looking at your soul contract. And you actually chose your soul contract, but not only that, your children chose you because you are perfect to support them in fulfilling their soul contract. So really, as parents, there's nothing to feel guilty about. It's all perfectly designed so that we all get what we need from each other. And human design, the other modality I use, is basically once you choose your soul contract, you choose an energetic vehicle that you think is best suited for you to complete your mission in this lifetime. So in human design, I'm going to show you many examples in this presentation. Things are either colored in or they're not. And based on the pattern of what is colored in and what is not, we each have specific strengths, specific vulnerabilities, and unique strategies that we can use to be successful in life. And in this presentation, I'm going to focus mainly on human design. So why aren't all parents created equal? Well, we are here for more than just the parenting role. I mean, parenting is very important, but we are here to do many things. So we chose a human design that's going to help us be able to do all the things we came here to do. And based on the human design that you selected for this life, it will impact how you parent. It'll impact what's easy for you. It'll impact what is going to be challenging for you. And it will probably impact how your children experience your parenting. And I think that if we can know how we're built and play to our strength and accept ourselves for how we're designed, I think we can all thrive as parents no matter what our human design may be. So some important high-level factors that I'm going to touch on in human design that I think are really relevant in parenting is your human design type. So there's 5 types: the manifestor, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. And in this presentation, I'll talk about the first 4 types, and the last one is so rare, I actually don't have an example to present to you today. And also what centers, how I said that some things are colored in and some things aren't. So depending on what is colored in and what is not, this will give a flavor to how you parent and how parenting affects you. And then the third thing is your human design profile, which I'm not going to talk about in this presentation, but it's basically we all have 2 numbers that kind of define our personality and our style for interacting with the world. And how similar we are to our kids in this and how different we are is important, because if we're very different, then we can't really expect our children to approach life in the same way that we do, because they are actually designed to be very different. And then when you know that, you can kind of like parent them with that understanding and parent yourself with the same understanding. So here are some manifestor parents, and they're manifestors because these 4 areas here are motors, and they have a motor that somehow is connected to their throat. And what that means is they have the power to manifest, because you manifest from your throat, to manifest in this world. So they are here to actually think of something they want to do and go out and do that. So to have that kind of power, it's kind of something we expect all of us to be able to do, but only 9% of people are manifestors. So to have that power to be able to say, I want to do this and I'm going to part the ways and it's going to happen, their aura, their energy pushes people away. And sometimes being on the receiving end of that as a child can be difficult, because you're like, why do I feel this pushing away from my parent? Also, manifestors don't want to be controlled. They're here to be creative forces, making things happen. So to have a little child, pulling at you all the time can be very frustrating. And manifestors tend to feel a lot of anger if they're, being controlled, and they just want peace. And so, having little kids around, and if you're somebody who just wants peace, it doesn't really go so well together. So sometimes manifestors struggle as parents, and it's important, to be kind with yourself. Also, this here, it cannot be colored in if you're a manifestor, and this is the major source of energy. So they're lacking a major source of energy that other types, 70%, will have. So, they're tired and they want peace. They want to be left alone. They don't want to be controlled. Sometimes that's hard. And when I look at these three manifestor moms, this one here, she wanted to be a mom, but then when it came to parenting, it kind of wasn't really her cup of tea. And that's just, that's just how she's built. She just wanted to go out there, be creative, do her work and everything like that. And, if her family and herself had known this, I think everybody would have been a lot kinder with her parenting style. This mom in the middle knew she didn't really want kids, but ended up a mom anyways. And, she did the best she can, but I think to some degree kind of felt like, I could have done better, but that's what she could do. But, knowing she's a manifestor, it's just going to be a little bit harder for her. So I think she could have forgiven herself a bit more if she knew this, especially knowing that her child chose her for a reason. And this mother over here is a wonderful mom. Not that the other two aren't, but she's really, really present for her family. And I just have to wonder, that's a little bit counter to the traditional manifestor, and maybe in a way her dreams and her power is being subdued to a certain degree because she is playing sort of more of a mothering role. So it's just interesting to know, like, this is how you're designed, this is how you're going to naturally want to be, and then you can make choices and know what's going to be easy and what's going to be hard for you because of your design. And so these are generator parents. They're generators because they have this center colored in, which means they have sustainable energy. This is 35% of the population. And then the other factor is they do not have a motor here that is connected to their throat, which means that sometimes people don't hear them. But the nice thing about generators is that they have this sustainable energy, and they tend to be slow and steady. So they, I think, to a certain degree, are great with kids because they're just kind of present. They're there. They have the energy to be there. The other nice thing about both these moms is they have their emotional center open, which means they feel the emotions of their children. And as long as they're aware that that is their children's emotion and that they're feeling it 10 times to the degree that their children are, they can sort of take that as information about what's going on, like a sensor of what's going on with their kids. But then they need to remove themselves and give themselves the time and the space to sort of empty out those emotions, because it can be quite painful to feel your children's emotions 10 times what your children are feeling them. And then these are manifesting generator parents. So manifesting generators are kind of a combo of the first two in that they have this center colored in, so they have sustainable energy, but they also have a connection to the throat, meaning that they can manifest, and this can make them very busy. And sometimes busy is good as a parent. You're able to keep up with them and do lots of things and multitask. And sometimes busyness means you have a little bit less patience because you just want to go, and your kids are a little bit slower at going. The other thing that's interesting here is you can see these two moms, their middle core is colored in, so that's totally defined in them, but their outside is all open. So they feel their kids' questions, they feel their kids' emotions, they feel their kids' physical symptoms, and then at the bottom, they're feeling pressure from their kids to say yes to what they may ask for. Whereas here, you have two parents who are pretty colored in, their emotional center is colored in, their root is colored in. So these parents, I don't want to say they're less sensitive to their kids, but because they're colored in, they're feeling their stuff and not their kids' stuff. So sometimes, if you see a parent who says, oh, let them be, they're fine, whatever, they're crying, they're fine. My guess is they're probably colored in their emotional center. And that just means that they're not feeling that crying child 10 times like these two parents are. So they're less likely to, want to rescue the child. And not that one way is better than the other, but it's good to know that based on how you're designed, that's how your children are going to affect you, and that's how you're going to parent. And these are projectors. So this is 20% of the population. These people are here to guide others when invited. So sometimes they can seem like bossy because they're always like telling you how to do things. So it's good for projector parents to know that they could be perceived that way if their guidance is uninvited. The other thing here about these two moms is they have none of their motors colored in, which means that they have no sustainable energy. So chances are mothering is very tiring for these parents. The difference between these two specific parents is about 15 years on a 5-year-old child. So this younger parent probably is managing a lot better with the lack of energy than this older parent might be. And also here, this parent has her spleen colored in, which means that she's going to be all about safety and, you know, is she going to fall and are you going to do this? So she's going to be a little bit more anxious because her safety system is on high alert. Whereas this parent is more about like in her identity, you know, what makes me happy, what, you know, she's driven by a different place. And it doesn't mean one parent is better than the other. It just means that by design, this one's looking out for safety, this one's looking out for happiness. Yeah, so it just goes to show that we're all different. And when we know how we're designed, then we can sort of play to our strength and just be a lot more forgiving with ourselves. And we can know how we may be impacting our children. So next steps, if you're interested in seeing your gifts as a parent, if you're interested in accepting where and why you might struggle and to really relax into parenting and to parent with more grace and ease, there are two ways to work with me at this time. One is I'm planning on putting together some workshops in the fall for groups of parents where we can kind of come together and see like, wow, this is how we're different. And, you know, it applies to all of us. And this is how our kids are. And this is how we work with our kids and really develop friendships based on this understanding of, you know, we're all different, but we're all perfect for our kids. So that's one way to do it. And then another way is if you want to start right away, or if you prefer just one-on-one sessions to really get to know yourself, your spouse, your family, you know, really have the keys to your kingdom and know what's going on with everybody. That's an option too. So this is my contact information, Alahnnaa Campbell, and my website is yourlifeplan.ca or www.supporttheirlight.life. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time.